I think I'm back. I'm not real sure exactly what just happened right there. My signal just dropped and hopefully now it picked back up. But like I said, I got to clean up my mess because I wanted to make a cool thumbnail. And I used the Alabama rig to try and show all the baits at once. I hope you guys appreciate the links and efforts I go to bring original and super cool, awesome content to you guys. Let me know when y'all are here. Drop me a comment in there. Let me know. Announce your presence with authority, as old Nuke LaLoosh would say. If you don't know who Nuke LaLoosh is, then me and you are probably not going to be very good friends. I'm going to go ahead and apologize right now for all the sniffles that y'all are going to hear tonight because I am dealing with a little bit of a head cold. It's one of the job perks of fishing in all weather, right? I guess that's what you get. So I got a little bit of a head cold going on. But not going to let that stop us. We're going to have a great night tonight. We're going to talk about some awesome baits to fish Lake Fork. Boy, you weekend guys are getting hammered this week with the post-frontal situation come Saturday and Sunday. Last week we were all excited about the fishing conditions. This week, that might be tough. The weather, if you read the book. Here's the beautiful part about it. You never know what's going to happen when you go fishing because sometimes those fish don't read the same books we read. I'm just going to tell you right now. Like, some of them days when they're supposed to bite, they don't bite. And then some of them days when they're not supposed to bite, they be biting. So you never know what's going to happen when you get out there. So my philosophy is let's just go and fish hard as we can, fish the best we possibly can, and see what happens. Because you never know, especially on a lake like Fork, you never know when something really special might go down. Speaking of that, it's a great time to go for something really special and fish deep, fish offshore. With all the changing conditions, that deep bite, especially in the post-frontal conditions, the deep bite tends to be more stable and more consistent than the shallow fish will be in the fall. Those shallow fish will flat shut down on you sometimes in the fall on these post-frontal conditions. So over the next few days, I'm not fishing on the weekend. I'm coaching soccer on the weekends right now with my kids, which is awesome, and I love it. But I'll be fishing tomorrow. And so for tomorrow, I'm going to be focusing on more main lake stuff, transition points, and deeper offshore structures. So let's talk about some of that. Let's talk about ways to catch fish not in the backs of coves, because the shallow bite honestly has been tough all week. Like, it has not been a great week for back of the creek shallow water fishing. I think we're starting to transition out of some of that a little bit, maybe. It's not over. And don't get me wrong, there's still a bunch of fish back there. And when we get warming cycles and warming trends, that back of the creek deal is going to be the deal. It's going to be real good. We're in the peak of that when we have the right temperature trend. But we don't have the right temperature trend tomorrow or the next day. So let's talk about the main lake fishing, whether it be the transition points or whether it be the funnel points or whether it be the actual offshore structure. We're going to talk about a little bit of all three tonight. The first thing I want you to think about is these funnel points. As these fish move a lot in the fall, these funnel points, these pinch points work great. You can find it fishing secondary points where the creek is this wide and it narrows down to this wide and then it goes back out to this wide. Those little natural pinch points in the creek arms are great. The points within those are great. And there's a couple things that you can fish. If it has timber, this can be kind of tough, but you can still do it. You just got to rig them weedless, not the way I have them rigged. But to me, the best funnel point bait in the fall is without a doubt, hands down, the old Alabama rig. The Alabama rig will get it done. In our water in East Texas, I like the 8-bladed rigs. This is the Smash rig from Smash Tech. You can find those at SmashTechBaits.com. Hopefully he has some in stock. I know he was working on building some last time I talked to him. Paired those up with my 6 Sense Divine swim bait heads in the 1/8 ounce version. And let me tell you, they got a screw lock on the shank of this jig head, and guys, it'll hold that. I'll have these swim baits on here for a month or more. I won't ever have to waste time changing my baits. I'll just keep casting, keep throwing it every day. So the Alabama rig's definitely a player right now, and it will be for a while. A great example of these funnel points or pinch points that I'm talking about would be like narrow gapped bridges. On Lake Fork, we have these bridges in the creek arms, and they have a narrower gap on them, so it's a concrete wall, concrete riprap wall, and then it just has like 3 or 4 pillars, sets of pillars, or 2 sets of pillars, where those fish have a narrow gap to go through. That's the transition point. That's a funnel point, a pinch point, secondary point within that creek where those fish have to get real condensed as they go through there. And that is obviously a great place to throw an Alabama rig because it's totally clean with those concrete riprap walls that we have on Fork. So that's maybe the best place to do this, but there's a lot of secondary points within creeks that work for this as well. Now, my second favorite bait for this pattern is going to be the jerkbait. 6 cents the spinning jerkbait provoke, 106, and the 106 DD, both of them depending on how deep you want to fish. There's a lot of fish that will suspend around these points and bridges and stuff like that, and this jerkbait and Alabama rig both catch those suspended fish about as good as anything on earth does. Jerkbait is a definite player right now. I don't talk about a jerkbait a whole lot. Right now is a great time to go throw a jerkbait on these transition points. Okay, now let's talk about something else that's going on. If you get into those creeks, as those fish travel, another place that gathers them is creek channel bends. There's a few fish starting to gather up in the bends of these creek channels, and we'll go explain that more in depth on a full video over the next month or so at some point, I'm sure. But you want to focus on the big bends in the creeks, and I like to fish the outside bends. And when I'm doing that, there's only one bait. It's a one-trick pony for me, and that's going to be a jig. Right now, I'm fishing this in some shallower creek bends, and this is a 3/8 ounce flipping jig in the, what is this? Grass mutant color. Crawfish drone actually works really good. I actually kind of prefer crawfish drone to grass mutant at this time of year. There's a lot of juvenile crawfish that are just starting to develop their shells, and they are a green and brown color, and so green and brown is a great jig color right now. As the water gets colder and we get on into December, I'll switch over to black and blue, but right now green and brown seems to work the best. This is the new trailer from 6 cents that's coming out soon. This is the Stroker Crawl. This will be my go-to jig trailer going forward. I think this will be the greatest jig trailer that I've ever put my hands on. I'm already catching a lot of big fish on it. The very first time I used it, I had a young man catch a new personal best that day. I actually caught a fish on it that day on my first cast. The first time I put this on the back of a jig, I caught a fish on it in a creek channel bend. So it's a really good jig trailer. This is launching very soon, so be ready. When they launch these, you better buy them while they last. The Stroker Crawl from 6 cents. Great jig trailer. But I am starting to fish the jig in creek channel bends. So that's 3. Let's go to number 4. Number 4 right here. Another thing that works good on the funnel points, on the bridge corners, on the secondary points, on the transition points, right now is going to be a shaky head. Every year in November, we get a straight tail worm bite, a little finesse shaky head, straight tail worm bite. So what I've got here is a 1/4 ounce 6 cents Divine shaky head. I love it because it has an EWG hook and it has a heavy gauge hook. I can fish this shaky head a lot less finesse. So I can take control over these big fish on Lake Fork in the timbered points and stuff like that. I can get a hold of those fish. I can manhandle them a lot more than you can on most shaky heads. But this Divine shaky head worm, it was made for this jig head. It's a great shaky head worm. I highly suggest getting you some of these. Anything green seems to be fine right now. This is like a watermelon blue flake, but you get the watermelon red, green pumpkin. Anything green will work on this right now for the shaky head. All right, number 5. Now, if you want to go out and try to catch the biggest bass of your life, right now is a tremendous time to do it. The state record from Lake Fork that was caught before the current state record was caught in November. November is a great big bass month of the year. The last official share-a-lunker, like real share-a-lunker, like over 13 pounds, that was caught by a guide customer with a guide was caught in the month of November, Mr. Lee Livesey, several years ago now. It's a great month for big fish. And this is a great bait for big fish, especially this time of year when those big bass are getting keyed in on those barfish. Guys, we can go out to these road beds and these pond dams, these long, flat, narrow points, and you can see these fish on your graph, see these big schools of smaller fish and see a few giant arcs hanging around them. It is set up. That bite is... It's kind of weird. Some of them aren't on top. Some of them, for some reason, are off to the side of the structure, but they're gathering up the way they're supposed to, and it's happening. Like, those big bass are out there eating that bait fish. Now, let me explain something to you. When you pick this up, you're going to go graph these spots, especially if you download the Fish Life app and you go graph those spots that we got on there, because they are loaded with yellow bass and white bass and everything. And then there's the big bass that are kind of hanging out off to the side of them. You're going to see all this life on there, and you're going to throw this thing for an hour and not get a bite, and you're going to go, Man, they ain't biting that flutter spoon. Old Billy Lawson, he's just lying to me. Your Lake Fork guy, he ain't worth a dang. He lying to me. This is not the bait you're going to go throw and go catch fish all day. You need to pick this thing up, put it in your hands on that offshore structure, and you need to hold on to it and just keep going. This is a few bites a day if you fish it all day deal. But when you get that bite, I promise you, when you get that bite, it's going to be a mondo. Like, it's going to be real big. Like, not, oh, that's a nice 4-pounder. Not, hey, look at that 5-pound. Like, you're going to catch a 7, 8, 9-pound fish throwing this bait all day. That's what's going to happen. And it might be significantly bigger, and that could be the fish of your lifetime. Like, that happens every year on this deal. So if that's your deal, you want a trophy hunt, now's about as good and predictable a time as ever. It's hard throughout the year to really say, hey, I know for a fact there's double-digit fish down there right now. When you find those schools of yellow bass and white bass right now, and you see those arcs out beside them, those big arcs, there's double-digit fish around those schools of yellow bass right now. Like, guaranteed, they're there. You're fishing for a double-digit in this situation. It's one of the reasons I get so excited about it, because the possibility is always there, and it's a very real, as high percentage possibility as you can get throughout the year to go catch a just humongous fish. So it gets me, if you can't tell, it gets me a little fired up. I like doing it, so I like fishing like that. So there's 5 baits. Now, here is one thing that I will tell you. If you want to fish shallow, if you're a shallow guy and you want to fish shallow, here's my recommendation. Movement 80X. There's something about this bait, the hard wobble and the deflection, the way it deflects off of wood, the way it deflects off cover. This bait will draw bites in post-frontal situations and get reaction bites from fish that will not bite anything else when you get real post-frontal in the fall and winter. So if I had to give you one bait to throw up shallow, grind it out with Movement 80X. Same type of deal. Not going to get a whole lot of bites. But boy, when you do, you're going to have a good chance to catch a big one on the Movement 80X. It catches big fish. It will catch a small fish every now and then, but it does catch big fish pretty consistently. So that's a bonus. Top 6 tonight, boys. How about that? All right, let's get into some comments and questions. Really quick, what do you throw the flutter spoon on? Thank you. Okay, the flutter spoon. I actually have a one-off rod that I throw it on. This rod is not in production, and I don't have this rod sitting here right now. Of course, I've got my other flutter spoon tied on the deck of my boat over there. But I throw it on a 7-11 medium action rod. You could use a like 7.3 medium, or even like a 7.3 medium heavy for that really big spoon. It's not going to cast it very easily. You're going to have to kind of lob cast it out there. But the deal is you want a lot of stretch and a lot of bend in that rod tip because you do not want to overpower these fish on the flutter spoon and make them come up. If you pull too hard, if you've got like a heavy action rod and you go to pull and you pull too hard, that fish is going to come straight up. And when he does that, he's going to jump. And when they jump, they throw that flutter spoon a high percentage of times. They will throw that flutter spoon when they jump. So you want to keep the fish down. And therefore, that's why I use the lighter action rods. And I'm throwing it on 15-pound fluorocarbon line. Best worm color for the wacky worm, anything green right now. I think green is the color right now. I saw you asked somebody, I think it was you again, T-Lo asked, green soft plastics over red bug or plum? Yes. Yes, right now I'm throwing green soft plastics for sure. He's going to come out with a little perm to shaky head with. Dude, he doesn't have to. 6 cents did it for him. Where'd I put it? Right here. This is little perm. That's little perm right there. That's what that is. Devon shaky head worms are great. I mean, you can't really make a better shaky head worm than this. It stands up correctly. It does have some salt, but it has a lighter amount of salt, so it doesn't stand just straight up, but it does have some buoyancy where it stays up at this angle right here is kind of how this worm stays in the water column, which is exactly how Casey wanted it at 6 Inch Fishing. It works really, really, really well. Billy, can y'all send out notifications when you update the Fish Life app on Fork? Well, I can tell you that we just updated it right at the first. Like, I think it was the 31st or the 30th we did the updates on Fork. We always update it around the first. And we're probably going to do another update coming up soon because there's definitely some stuff changing that we need to address in the month of November before we get to the end of the month. But that's a great idea. I don't know how we would have to build that into the app on the back end, and all that stuff costs a lot of money. Dude, these apps cost a lot of money to build. I'm just going to tell y'all. So we would have to build that in on the back end, but we can definitely look into that. I certainly appreciate the recommendation. I think it's a really good idea, so we will look into that. Stephen Latham, you know the drill. Stephen Latham knows the drill. He says, I don't know if green pumpkin is the right color, but I know it's not the wrong color. I spend a lot of time picking colors based on I'm just trying to pick the not wrong color. Like, plum might be better than green, but I know I'm not gonna not catch fish because I'm throwing green pumpkin. Ever. Like ever. So I spend a lot of time throwing green plastics because I feel like it's not gonna take bites away from me. Like there might be a bait that might get a few more bites, but I'm still gonna get bit on that green pumpkin. Do I throw any rattle traps this time of year? Absolutely, I do. In fact, if we had a little different weather trend, we would be 100% the lipless bait would probably be one of our top couple baits to throw this week. I like the Quake 70 lipless crankbait from 6 Sense Fishing. I throw it a lot. And we've been throwing it lately. Just that shallow bite has just not been that good this week. So. Any chartreuse on the tail or straight green, I think you just throw both. You throw it without, and if you're not getting bit, you add some chartreuse. And if you don't get bit, then you go back to plain, and you just wait till you get a bite or two and let the fish tell you right now. I mean, it's not a hard rule on is chartreuse better or worse. I mean, I'm not putting chartreuse on my baits, but I don't think it's a bad idea. Timmy Rhodes in the house. What's up, Tim Rhodes? Any news on the pre-order shirts getting shipped out? Well, yes, they will be shipped out over this weekend. For sure, we'll get all orders shipped by Monday. They just arrived today. I wanted to bring some in and show y'all tonight. I was trying to get one washed where I could wear it, but I didn't get that done in time because I had soccer practice and everything else. So, yes, I'll be wearing one tomorrow night at the seminar. The shirts just arrived today. They are shipping out. Also, hey, if you're interested, go check them out at yourlakefortguide.com. We got some awesome shirts that just arrived that are up for sale at yourlakefortguide.com. Top five baits. Okay. All right, we got some guys late that are asking for a recap on top five baits. We'll do it real quick. We're not really fishing shallow. The shallow bite's been off. Post-funnel conditions this weekend is probably going to make the shallow bite even worse. So we're concentrating on secondary points, funnel points, creek channel bends, and offshore structure. All of those things, we're fishing all of them. We're fishing an Alabama rig. We're fishing a jerkbait. We're fishing a jig in the creek bends. We're fishing a big flutter spoon offshore, and we're also fishing the shaky head on the secondary points and the funnel points as well. Stephen Latham, was I supposed to pre-order my shirt? Man, it's completely up to you, but it's too late to pre-order now because they here, dog, so just go order one up. Random Skills says the wife stole his big perm shirt. That's awesome. That's awesome. Craw or shad color on hard baits? We've had some days where they bit the craw. I'm still kind of sticking with shad for the most part right now, but we have had some days where when we're throwing lipless crankbaits where they're biting the craw bait better. I haven't really thrown any crawl baits in the shallow like build crankbaits like the Moving 80X. I've really been sticking to shad on those. Jig color, green and brown. Here's my jig I'm throwing right now. Just a mix of green and brown. Flutter spoon over big swim bait for offshore. Right now, yeah. Right now, I'd take the flutters, although I don't think it's ever a bad time to throw a swim bait on offshore fish with a big jig head or something. But I'm taking a flutter spoon. They tend to bite that flutter spoon right now. I just caught a really big one yesterday on a flutter spoon. It's not a lot of bites, but it's a big bite when you get it. I think every year this time of year, I really trust the flutter spoon to come through and get that big bite at the end of the day. It don't seem like it some days. It takes hours sometimes to get that giant bite on that flutter spoon deal. And it seems like you're not going to get it, but it seemed, over my history in November, at the end of the day, if I stay on them on that flutter spoon, I usually end up getting a 2 or 3 really big bites on it by the end of the day. Now, I'm going to tell you, getting a bite on a flutter spoon and landing the fish on the flutter spoon are two completely different scenarios. Because you might get those 2 or 3 bites and you might not land any of them. Landing fish on a flutter spoon, this is hard a bait to land that fish on as anything. They have a lot of leverage with all that weight on one treble hook, and it's easy for them to toss that bait. The roof is not my son, but I will raise it. That is a great, great saying. Going to Hallbrook tomorrow, any advice? Yeah, they like that Alabama rig around those points out there this time of year typically. In fact, we just updated the Fish Life app for Lake Hallbrook. We do have an app subscription package for Lake Hallbrook, and it's only $5 a month. And if you're just going to Lake Hallbrook right now, you can spend $5 and see the exact spots that I would go fish on Lake Hallbrook right now. It'll tell you what baits I would throw on there and everything else. So, what bait for a sea rig? The bubble fry or the Ned fry. Both of those smaller profile straight tail baits work really good. Sometimes one works better than the other. A lot of times, most of the time, they will both catch them. But the Smash Tech Bubble Fry and the 6 Cents Ned Fry will both get them on that Carolina rig right now. Heath Taylor's in the house. He said, I'm just going to throw 5 swim baits tomorrow. Well, that doesn't surprise anybody that knows Heath Taylor because actually it is a little surprising because I'm surprised that he doesn't have about 9 swim baits he's going to throw tomorrow. We do know, though, Heath, that when you go fishing, you're going to throw multiple swim baits. We are very aware of that. If you know Heath Taylor, that is true. How much for the Miller Lite hood? I've had that thing forever. I used to work. Let's see, it's over. Y'all can see it over there in the corner. Right there. I used to work for a beer distributor, and I have had that daggum hood. I apologize. My nose is killing me. I've got a serious head cold going on. I apologize for that. But I've had that Miller Lite hood for a long, long time. I don't know that I would take anything for it. I'm actually considering taking it to the wrap place where I got my truck wrapped and having them wrap that hood in your Lake Fork guide and hang it on the wall back here somewhere where it'll be behind me when we're talking. Chris Blackman's in the house. Light hold. Well, all my buddies are in here tonight, dude. This is awesome, man. Appreciate you guys. All you guys that come on here and talk fishing with me every Thursday night, man. It's so cool that that this is a cool part about social media, right? Like we got all these guys, and we all have a like interest, and we get to come on here and talk with each other live in person like this. Like, yeah, we're not sitting around the campfire, but I mean we're pretty close to it because we're just sitting here talking fishing and. It's pretty awesome, man. I appreciate each and every one of you guys joining us every Thursday. Is the water getting dirty yet? No, the water's not getting dirty yet. No, the water's really clean. It's the cleanest it's been all year right now. I was really noticing that the other day when I was driving over the bridge. I actually took note of that and said, man, this is the bluest water that I have seen on Lake Fork in quite some time. Uh-oh, ZW is trying to make some folks mad. ZW says, where are the ducks stacking up on Fork? Asking for a friend. Because if you don't know, for all you guys that like to say if it flies, it dies, y'all like to get out there and slop through the mud at 4:30 in the morning, duck season opens Saturday. And I'm going to tell you right now, if you're a duck hunter, see, I could be a duck guide too because I get to see where they are. Like it's not real hard to be a duck guide because you can see them suckers. And I see them a lot. There is a bunch of ducks in the very back corner of Glade Creek right now. And I'm talking about a bunch of ducks. Well, there has been over the last couple of weeks. Now, who knows what this front may move them a little bit. But if you go all the way to the end of Glade Creek, I'm talking about behind the islands in the very back corner back there where it's this much water, there is a million gazillion ducks back there. Just FYI, if you're a duck hunter, I'm sure there's a lot of folks that have seen them and they're going to be back there hunting them. But there's plenty to go around, boys. I'm just going to tell you, it looks a lot like South Louisiana back in the back corner of Glade right now. Have we picked the winner for the swim baits from Smash Tech? No, we said we would do it a week after the video, so we're going to do the winner for the, and it's not swim baits, we're giving away bubble fries. We're giving away bubble fries, and we will pick the winner of that next week right here on this live stream. Almost knocked the phone over there. Saturday should be interesting with 200 high school boats and the duck hunters. Where's the high school tournament this Saturday? Is it at Fork? Is there a high school tournament at Fork this Saturday? That could be a train wreck. There's gonna be some folks. There's gonna be some teenage boys that are gonna learn what the meaning peppered is come Saturday. There you go. Central is on Fork Saturday. Yeah, that's gonna be a mess. That's gonna be a mess. Game Ward's gonna be working overtime. Have you fished Lake Welsh any? Well, yeah. Our video Monday, the video that we released Monday was on Lake Welsh. Me and Heath Taylor fished Lake Welsh. Yeah, Lake Welsh is fishing really well right now. It's fishing really good, as it always does this time of year. Those fish will actually be spawning in the next month or so. Those fish will start to spawn on Lake Welsh. They're in their full-on pre-spawn feed-up mode right now. They're gathered up in groups and they're eating. So it can be kind of a little bit of a challenge to find a group of them right now, but once you find a group of them, they are eating right now. I can tell you that. Yeah, it's Lake Welsh is fishing real good, especially on the non-post frontal days. It's fishing amazing. What technique for numbers right now? Alabama rig and a shaky head. But understand this. I'm saying that it needs you to know that when it comes to post-frontal conditions like what we're going to face tomorrow and Saturday, there is no bait for numbers. Like, numbers is not a thing on these post-frontal days. But on the days where it's, trending right, there's a lot of different ways to catch numbers on the days when you get the warm trending water. You can catch them up shallow on weightless plastics. You can catch numbers. You can catch them on these points on Alabama rigs and shaky heads. You can catch numbers. Like, all these things work for numbers when the weather trends right. But right now, in post-frontal conditions, numbers is a hard thing to accomplish. But Alabama rig's probably your best bet for numbers. Or if you just want raw numbers of fish that swim, period, you could pick you up a jigging spoon, go to those pond dams and road beds and catch 155 yellow bass and sand bass any day you want to, Jack. There's a bunch of them suckers out there. Ron Forbes has finally caught one live. John Spillman says, I shoot back. Y'all be nice to the duck hunters. I know they're probably not going to be nice to y'all, but y'all try to be nice to the duck hunters this weekend. Somebody keeps asking about a stinger hook on a flutter spoon. I saw that a couple times and I haven't got to it yet, so let's talk about a stinger hook on a flutter spoon. That may be a flaw in me that I haven't. I think the concept sounds really, I just never have. I don't know why. I can't tell you why. I don't have a good reason why. Like, to me, when they throw that flutter spoon, that stinger hook on the front end of it ain't going to help nothing. Because if they look, there ain't no fish with there's no fish that's going to get a hook from both ends in him. They're going to have one hook or the other. So, if I got them hooked on this hook back here, this hook up here is not going to do anything for me. I guess maybe that's why I've never done it. But I don't know. I just never have done it. I probably should try it. It sounds like a good concept. As long as it doesn't affect the flutter. That's, my biggest fear on that is, would it affect the flutter? Do y'all lose a lot of flutter spoons when they get snagged up? No. But they do get snagged up. But one of the beauties of a flutter spoon is it gets snagged up, right? Like, it gets caught on something like this right here. Well, when you get your boat right over the top of it, you just pull the line tight and then drop it down. And see what the hook just popped out right there when I did that. But as long as you don't just bear down and set the hook and really dig it in real hard, and even when you do, you can usually get over the top and just kind of You'll pop your slack, snap your slack tight and then let it go loose. And this thing will act like a weight and it'll knock that hook off and it comes loose. I lose very, very few flutter spoons because I'll get right over the top of them and just shake that slack and tighten that slack and let it go loose over and over again until it pops that hook off. And you get almost all of them out, really. When is the purple stripe a thing for flutter spoon? Right now, I've got one in the boat that's got the purple stripe with the gold paint job on it. I'm throwing the biggest one I own right now, which is this one, a lot. Which it doesn't, see, it kind of it's blue, but it's dark blue. It's almost purple, and it's got the yellow in it. That's the big deal. That's why I'm using this version of this 6-cent spoon. A, because it's the biggest spoon I got, the biggest one I own, and I want the biggest one I own because I'm trying to get just a couple big bites. But it does have that blue and that yellow to it, which is what those yellow bass have. They have that dark stripe and they have that yellow body on them, and that's what those bass are really keying in on to eat. All right. Well, hey, guys, we've hit our 30-minute mark, and I have got to get all this stuff organized, back in the boat, ready to go for another trip tomorrow. We're going to go out there and see if we can avoid freezing our rear ends off tomorrow. I'm looking forward to it. Even though it's going to be post-frontal, it's probably going to be a tough bite. I look forward to it every day this time of year because I have caught so many big fish this time of year over the years. So don't let this cold. Yes, somebody said, oh, yes, I'm going to Fort tomorrow, and we have free seminar tomorrow night. Heath Taylor from Smash Tech will be at the seminar, so make sure that you come out to see us at the seminar if you're in town. We would love to meet each and every one of you guys. We'll be at Lake Fort Marina at 6 p.m. That's it. Go fishing. Don't let the cold weather and post-frontal conditions deter you from going fishing, wherever it is that you want to go. If you want to go to a power plant lake like Lake Welsh and whack them and stack them, get out there and do it. If you want to go trophy hunting on Lake Fort, go do it. If you want to go to whatever lake you want to go to, you never know what you're going to run into during the fall, during this period, this time of year. Some of the biggest fish in the lake are getting pregnant. They're starting to eat. It's a magical time of year. Magical. Just go fishing, guys. Hey, man. Thank you guys so much. I'll never, ever, ever tell you thank you enough. I'll always be in debt to each and every one of you guys for helping me build my dream and live my dream every single day. It means the absolute world to me. I appreciate it so much. And I'll see you guys next time right here on your Lake Fort Guide.